So you got a pet reptile and it isn't quite as tame as you thought it was going to be, but you still want to interact with it. So what now? Today, I'm gonna give you 3 ways you can tame down any reptile and make them just like a puppy dog. My name's Adam, this is Pikachu, you're watching Wickens Wicked Reptiles, stick around. Okay, disclaimer, I know I said every and any, but what I mean is most. Not every reptile is going to be able to be tamed out. However, almost every ball python, corn snake, bearded dragon are going to be able to be tamed out. You just have to do these 3 things, so let's get going. Step 1, identify your issue. Is your issue that this animal is actually defensive, not aggressive, because they're not aggressive by the way, or is it hungry? So identify that first. Is it trying to bite you or escape from you because it's actually scared? Or does it think you're food and that's why it keeps biting you? So I'll tell you. Now, most snakes have a food display, or a food drive is what we call it. So basically, some snakes like reticulated pythons are known for having wild food drives. Every time the door opens, bam! They want to eat. So they don't think that you are food as the 150, 200 pound fully adult human that you are. They just see your heat signature, things like reticulated pythons, which have heat pits, by the way, and they think, okay, well, now's my time to eat. What else could possibly be around here that's warm, that's a mammal? I'm just gonna go ahead and strike and then ask questions later. Now, if the snake is defensive, that's different. But let's talk about how to get them out of food mode if that's your problem. Well, use a hook, tap them. You can see Aria here. She's tapping the snake, which is Kratos, the Burmese python, which aren't known for having crazy food drives. However, when I open up the enclosure, sometimes he thinks it's food time. And of course, right now he's in blue, which is just when they're about to shed, which is why his eyes are like that. So we can't see that well. So he's really relying on smell and heat. So we tap him, we use a hook to get him out. And what you're gonna notice is as soon as you open the enclosure, a lot of these snakes are coming towards you. It's not because they want to be your friend and cuddle. It's because they think they're getting fed. So what you want is you want them to turn around and leave. That is how you know that they're no longer interested in food. There's subtle things too, like fast tongue flicks. Usually, short, fast tongue flicks usually mean that they're either defensive or they're looking for food. Long, slow tongue flicks usually mean that they're curious and they're just looking around at things. So that is what you're looking for. Keep in mind, there's a whole bunch of different variables. These are just kind of the generalizations for most snakes in my experience. Oh, and don't have food around, obviously. Don't feed rats in the next room or the next enclosure and then open up your reticulated python enclosure and wonder why they want to eat. Like, I don't even thaw rats until I'm done handling snakes for the day. So just be smart. Number 2, confidence. Confidence is one of the most important things in all of life. If you want to be successful at anything, you have to at least feign confidence. Same thing with snakes. When you open up an enclosure and that you realize that the food response is done, be very confident when you grab the animal. This doesn't mean aggressive, but when you open up the enclosure, grab the animal, right? Make sure that you know if you want to use a hook or whatever, you can. But the other thing is, what's gonna make you confident? Is it someone showing you? Go get someone to show you how to take a ball python, or whatever the animal is, out of the enclosure. Is it gonna make you feel better to use a hook? That's fine too. Even for ball pythons, people make fun of me. Oh, you're telling people to use a hook for ball pythons? What are they, a bunch of sissies? That's so stupid. If it makes you feel more comfortable to use a hook or gloves or whatever, that is what you should use. Just like you see here. Aria, she works for Wickens Wicked Reptiles now. She's the zookeeper here, right? She is every single day that she's here twice a week. At the end of the shift, she goes in and she handles these baby Burmese pythons that hatched out about a month ago. So every single time she goes, she handles these animals, and every time they get better, which we're gonna get to consistency in a second, but she's confident with it, and she wears gloves to make herself more confident. Would it really hurt if a snake this size bit your skin? Probably not. But if I say, hey, do you want to use gloves? And she says yes, well, what the heck is wrong with that? If it makes you more comfortable and more confident, the point isn't to look cool, it's to actually socialize the snake. Same thing, she's handling the Tegu and Susan the Aki monitor. When I started to handle Frankie, the Fiji banded iguana, I use gloves. If I'm handling the monkey tail skinks, because they get crazy sharp claws, I use gloves. So don't be afraid. I mean, whatever makes you feel more confident, but you have to be confident. You can't, oh, I'm not sure, should I? Because then they're gonna strike at you, right? Don't give them the opportunity. So just use things like common sense and hooks. Those are the tools of the trade. Lastly, be consistent. Most snakes that are common in the hobby, corn snakes and ball pythons, can be tamed out pretty easily. But some snakes take more work. So don't say, oh, well, Adam said if I do this, this, and the other thing, then it's not working, and you've only done it 1 or 2 or 3 days. It's not how it works. Ball pythons, sure, maybe. Maybe. I've had ball pythons that came in, they're really, really defensive, they strike and bite, boa constrictors even, and then I tame them out pretty simply, and they just stay that way. But there are animals that take longer. Savanna monitors, reticulated pythons, it's a food thing more with them. Things like that take more work and more effort and longer. So you have to once, twice, 3 times a week, you know, depending, and you have to do it for a long period of time. And then don't get me started on the fact that some animals you just need to continue to do because otherwise they forget. Some things like corn snakes and ball pythons, if you tame them out, it's like riding a bike. They don't forget. They realize, okay, I'm being handled now. It's not food time. I'm just going to be docile. I'm going to be fine. Other species, not so much. And especially when the food response is the thing, you always have to make sure this animal is well fed and there's not food in the room. So use consistency. Every single time that you handle the animal, do it with confidence. Make sure that they don't want to eat you. That's it. I want to know in the comment section below, if you have some experience for someone who might be a little bit newer to this, let me know what you do to tame out a snake. I would love to know. And as always, thanks for hitting the like and subscribe button. I know this was a shorter one, usually longer content, but there's a lot more where that came from. And as always, a special thanks to the Patreon supporters. You guys are freaking amazing. You guys do so much for the channel, and you get videos early, discounts on merch, pictures of things that I don't show anybody else, status updates, one-on-one meetings, all that for as little as $1. And that's it. Because I do videos on Mondays and Thursdays, that means I'll see you in the next one.